First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
We're tracking Hurricane Helene as it intensifies in the Gulf of Mexico. Helene is predicted to make landfall in Florida as a Category 3 storm. We are already starting to see some impacts from Helene here in north central Florida. This is video of the outer bands right outside the WFT studio. Conditions will continue to deteriorate as we head into tomorrow.
And here we have a live look at wet roads over in Columbia County as rain has already begun to fall. Time is running out for Floridians to get prepared for Hurricane Helene. This is WFT's First at 5. I'm Charlize Ramos.
And I'm Jamie Goldman. Utility crews are staging across the state to jump into action once the storm passes. Let's get to the very latest on preparations. In the last 15 minutes, an evacuation order was just issued in Alachua County for neighbors living in mobile homes and RVs. Alachua now joins mandatory evacuations already underway in Suwannee and Levy counties for those living in mobile homes and other vulnerable areas. Shelters will open in about an hour at schools and other locations across the viewing area. Local county and city offices will begin to shut down tomorrow so employees can work to prepare their homes and families from the storm.
We've got the WFT team spread out across north central Florida to bring you the latest on how communities are preparing. We begin with UF forecaster Matthew Clark live in the studio with an update on Helene just issued by the National Hurricane Center.
Hurricane Helene is a strong Category 1 hurricane right now with very tight circulation towards the middle. And as far as the 5 p.m. advisory goes, winds 85 miles per hour tomorrow morning, expecting a strong Category 2 just on the cusp of Category 3. And the newest update has it as a weekend Category 4. I say weekend, there's still 130 mile per hour winds as a Category 4, expected to make landfall as a strong Category 4 major hurricane Thursday evening. Very large storm, already starting to feel impacts in our area here in Gainesville. Had a couple strong storms earlier. We have our next line of strong storms moving from the southeast, heading northwest towards our area. The biggest thing with this storm, though, is storm surge and wind. But I want to talk on the storm surge, 12 to 18 feet likely in the Big Bend. I'm 6 foot. To put it in perspective, that's 3 times my height. This is life-threatening storm surge. Still have time to prepare, though. Bringing it back to our area, you can see some of those storms off to the east, temperature 76 degrees, and some of those passing storms. Pretty dreary day, winds picking up from the east.
Leaders in Levy County are working to make sure neighbors waste no time in preparing for the storm. Officials ordered a mandatory evacuation Tuesday ahead of Helene. The UF weather team says both Levy and Suwannee counties could see storm surge rise up to 18 feet. WFT's Roches continues our team coverage, meeting with neighbors who are bracing for the storm.
People started boarding up their homes. Free food is being distributed, and businesses are salvaging all their appliances, all with the hope that Hurricane Helene doesn't destroy the place they call home. This is all after the Cedar Key emergency evacuation.
Cedar Key is no stranger to disaster. Hurricane Idalia and the island's mid-September fires left hundreds unemployed. The effects took a toll on business co-owner Michael Hawley.
I worry who's got just is willing to do it again, if that's what we're looking at in 2 days.
Hawley and his wife Carrie work with neighbors and friends to move refrigerators and freezers to a safe place, a friend's home 7 miles off the island. A block away, Island Place maintenance workers remove floorboards and move loose items to higher ground, the 3rd floor. The workers say they expect it to take 2 years and millions to repair Helene's damages. Down the street, Cedar Key Food Pantry Assistant Director Phil Prescott describes the island in one word.
Community. It is who we are. We lock arms.
In order for the community to start again.
There's one thing this hurricane cannot destroy, and that's the sense of community on this island. From Cedar Key, Roches, WUFT News.
Across north central Florida, schools are canceling classes as Floridians prepare for Hurricane Helene. Alachua, Columbia, and Levy County public schools will be closed Thursday and Friday. Bradford and Citrus County are also closed for the rest of the week, and Marion Putnam County schools will be closed Thursday. The Alachua County School District will assess storm damage after Helene passes to determine the reopening of schools on Monday. You can visit the Florida Department of Education's website for a full list of school closures across Florida. Colleges and universities around Florida are also closing their campuses as Hurricane Helene approaches. Santa Fe College and the College of Central Florida's Marion, Levy, and Citrus County campuses will be closed Thursday and Friday. The University of Florida has canceled classes for Thursday, and Florida State University will be closed Thursday through Sunday as Helene approaches Florida's Gulf Coast.
City offices will be closed in Ocala as precaution during the storm. In a statement issued today, the city of Ocala announced their plan to close offices beginning noon Thursday and reopen Friday. In Gainesville, offices will close tomorrow. All trash and recycling pickup will be delayed for 1 day, scheduled for pickup on Friday. Leaders are urging neighbors to make sure there is no debris in your yards, as it can become a hazard when the storm moves through. Gaining speed as it spins through warm Gulf waters, Helene is expected to make landfall tomorrow as a Category 3 storm. As we told you moments ago, the storm's outer bands have already started hitting our area. WFT's Michael Yoshida spoke to neighbors in Steinhatchee on their decision to leave or ride out the storm.
You still have time to make the preparations and put your plan in place today, but that time is running out.
And running out fast. Helene is now a hurricane, swirling past Mexico and tracking toward landfall in Florida. And preparing for the worst is a moving target.
Conditions may very well, in the wide range of possibilities, be a Cat 1 all the way to a Cat 4. Many areas to the south are already beginning to feel the impact from the storm.
Part of that impact is tropical storm force winds and rain, lashing the Keys and southern Florida. In the hours ahead, those conditions will intensify and batter the entire western coastline before an expected landfall in the Big Bend area Thursday evening.
Many of our counties, if not all of them, have called for low-lying and manufactured housing evacuations already.
A term being used a lot by officials this week. You can hide from the wind, but run from the water.
If you do have a major surge and you stay behind, that is potentially hazardous.
Forecasters are gauging Helene's storm surge to hit between 5 and 15 feet in many areas. Many veterans of previous hurricanes like Ian and Idalia are opting to stay put.
I always draw up lots of water ahead of time, make sure I got food in the house, all that.
We're going surfing. We're hitting those waves.
Still others realize that staying is risky.
If you're a godly person, pray. Because I don't really need this. Neither do any of us.
In Steinhatchee, Michael Yoshida, WFT News.
The National Weather Service says flooding and rainfall could hit large portions of Georgia, Alabama, and the Carolinas. More than a foot of rain could fall in some places through Friday. Helene could also produce multiple tornadoes in the southeast, with conditions ripe from Florida through most of the Carolinas Thursday.
Flooding will be a major part of Helene's route as the storm continues to move towards Florida. Our team coverage continues with WFT's Jada Ross live in downtown Gainesville. Jada, you went to the flood zone neighborhoods to talk with homeowners about how they are preparing.
Parts of Alachua County are more prone to flooding than others. The UF weather team says that Helene will be a big rainmaker this year. Residents I spoke to in live flooding zones are already preparing for the storm. Living in a flooding zone means you are more vulnerable to overflowing water than anywhere else, and you will always have to play defense to protect your home, especially from powerful hurricanes like Helene. While the county is providing resources, neighbors say they've got to put in extra hours to protect their homes ahead of Helene's rainfall tomorrow.
Trying to get rid of all the debris that's around the house and cut down some of the trees. I have a gentleman that's cutting down some of the trees away from the power lines.
Alachua officials encourage cleaning up your area and putting together a kit before the storm starts. Now is the time to finish preparing before the storm hits. Officials advise that you follow Alachua County's Facebook page for updates. Gainesville is expected to get 2 to 4 inches of rainfall from Helene. Live from Alachua County, Jada Ross, WUFT News.
A tree trimming company is hard at work ahead of Hurricane Helene's high wind speeds and heavy rainfall. WFT's Bernardo Montas spoke to the owner of The Perfect Cut, a tree trimming service working to protect homes in the storm.
Tree trimmers may be one of the unsung heroes of hurricane preparation. Officials say debris can pose a major threat to you and your home during a hurricane. Winds of over 100 miles per hour can easily knock down massive trees. Branches are known to shatter windows and break through roofs too. The Perfect Cut is just one of many tree trimming service providers. Its owner, Jacob Saliers, says calls to his business have tripled in the past week for good reason.
I've done 7 different hurricanes, and I've seen the destruction that a tree does to a home. So getting the customers' preparations ready for the storm is very, very highly recommended.
Storm-proof landscaping is a crucial aspect of emergency storm preparation. Hurricane cleanup services unfortunately offer an opportunity for scammers to get the best of you. Visit myfloridalegal.com to learn how to best protect yourself from scams like those. In the studio, Bernardo Montaz, WUFT News.
If you're looking for sandbags in Alachua, locations are open across the county. For pre-filled sandbags in Gainesville, head to Public Works on Northwest 39th Avenue. Self-serve sandbags are also available at Citizens Field on Northeast 8th Avenue. There is a 10-bag limit for every vehicle. Visit WFT.org for more sandbag locations.
We will continue to stay on top of important developments about Hurricane Helene. For the latest information about the storm, latest closures, and its potential impacts across north central Florida, you can visit our website at WFT.org. Coming up next when First at 5 returns, the Florida Museum butterflies are safe. Why museum leaders tell us they don't need to evacuate the popular animals ahead of the storm.
And how neighbors in other parts of Florida are preparing their communities for Helene's impact. We'll be right back. Hurricane Helene is gaining strength in the Gulf, and we are already starting to see the impacts from the storm. On your screen is a live look at the dark clouds and showers from the outer bands hitting the coast on I-75. Tonight, State Fire Marshal Jimmy Patrones will join Senator Rick Scott in Taylor County to discuss storm preparations and recovery information.
Emergency evacuations are underway along Florida's coast as Hurricane Helene is expected to grow into a strong Category 4 storm. Neighbors in Pinellas County, just south of Tampa, aren't taking any chances when it comes to the severity of this storm. Several neighborhoods are under mandatory evacuations, especially those who live in mobile homes and low-lying areas. Preparations have been happening since Monday in anticipation for the storm. The biggest concern for these neighbors is storm surge and flooding. Governor Ron DeSantis was in the Tampa area this morning describing just how large the storm is.
This is a really big storm. You're going to see impacts up to 250 miles outside the center of the storm. So you're going to see the more violent side of the storm. It's going to whip up surge, produce high winds that are going to impact the Florida Peninsula from Tampa Bay all the way across to the Atlantic coast of Florida.
Lines are forming at gas stations in the area. Officials are urging folks to stock up with non-perishables, extra batteries, and water.
The Florida Museum of Natural History will not evacuate their butterflies due to Hurricane Helene. We spoke to the museum's director today. He says this is because the University of Florida is only closed tomorrow. It would not benefit them to catch all of them and move them for such a short period of time. UF announced it will reopen at 7 a.m. Friday morning.
Both American and Delta have issued travel advisories at Gainesville Regional Airport due to the storm. According to the GNV website, most of the arrival and departing flights are canceled. The airport tweeted that the travelers need to check with their airlines and not the airport for any updates on their flights for the next few days. The Alachua County Jail has canceled all visitations tomorrow due to Helene. They made the announcement on their Facebook page earlier this afternoon. Jail officials say remote visitations will continue as normal.
Before Helene became a hurricane, it battered parts of Mexico as a tropical storm. The National Hurricane Center said the storm moved through packing winds of 70 miles per hour. It brought heavy rain to Cancun, one of the country's top tourist locations. Fortunately, there's no word on any deaths or injuries due to the storm.
Yeah, the storm was hitting me pretty hard as I walked into the studio this morning, so it feels like we're already kind of feeling the effects.
Yeah, the good news is we may not be feeling effects from tropical storm force winds at this point, seeing some rains already. Newest update does have a 5 p.m. advisory of a Cat 4 at landfall. I will have more coming up.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Already starting to see impacts here in North Florida as a couple passing storms are moving from the southeast. These are affiliated with Helene. These storms are going to continue as we head into our Wednesday evening. Live satellite of Helene, very organized storm right now, very tight center. Can kind of see an eye there starting to form, and it's going to become a much stronger eye as it makes its way to the northeast into the Gulf further. Yesterday, it did not look like this as a tropical storm because it was bringing in some of that dry air from the west, kind of choking it a little bit, but now that it's in an ample environment for moist air, it's just going to start to wrap around itself and move forward. Now, as the 5 p.m. update came out, strong Category 1 right now. Tomorrow it's going to be a high-end Category 2, just shy of a Category 3 Thursday morning. Category 4 reaching winds up to 130 miles per hour by Thursday night, and by making landfall, it's going to be a major Category 4 hurricane by our Thursday evening. Wind is going to be a main issue with this storm. We're going to start seeing those gusty winds on our Thursday morning. As it heads into Thursday afternoon, we're going to start to see some of those tropical storm force winds. And as the eye is just off the coast of our nature coast, we're going to start to see some really strong tropical storm and hurricane force winds. These are kind of low end numbers. I would expect it to be much higher numbers as it makes its way on landfall, and quickly by Friday morning those wind starts to die down. Now, this is a very large wind field spanning 159 miles in diameter. This is hurricane force winds. To put that into perspective, Idalia was only 50 miles in diameter, so this is 3 times the wind field. Tropical storm warning and hurricane warning around for most of our state. To the east of 75, we have a tropical storm warning, and to the west, we have a hurricane warning. It's going to remain consistent as the storm makes its way closer. Storm surge also a very large issue as it starts to make its way further north. 12 to 18 feet is likely in the Big Bend region, and storm surge is going to be a problem from Apalachicola all the way down towards the Keys and the Key West. I'm 6 feet, and this is 3 times my height in terms of storm surge. Time to get out if you have the time. Slight risk tomorrow for some spin-up tornadoes as those outer bands and those rain bands start to make its way onto our land. Could bring some EF1 and EF2 short-lived tornadoes. Wednesday night, seeing some of that rain. Thursday morning, get a slight break of rain, but look at these rain bands, really nice wrapped around Helene's center as Helene makes its way further to the northeast. Thursday afternoon, really starting to get some of that severe weather, and right before landfall is when we're starting to get some of the worst rain and the worst winds as it heads through on Friday morning. Those rain chances are going to start to subside. Not too big of a rainmaker. We do have some rain coming our way from this storm. These are just kind of averages, but the further west you go, the more rain you're going to see as it makes landfall. 10 inches of rain up in Apalachicola from this storm is possible. Campus cam right now, pretty dreary day. Conditions are starting to deteriorate, and just our 7-day outlook, those rain chances are going to be 100% on Thursday, and as we head throughout the next week, a couple residual showers are going to be associated with Helene.
With Hurricane Helene looming, the status of Florida sports is up in the air this week. Coming up, we'll cover the Florida Gator and local high school sports that have been canceled and postponed so far.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome into sports. I'm Ben McLeish. As we know, weather can always spoil a good matchup, and 2 Gator sports have already been postponed this week due to Hurricane Helene. Florida soccer's home matchup against Tennessee tomorrow has been postponed, with no rescheduled date set as of now. The Gators are still scheduled to travel to Missouri to take on the Tigers on Sunday. Florida's swimming and diving meet against Nova Southeastern University on Friday was also postponed, with no announcement of a rescheduled date so far. But Gators volleyball is still set to travel to Norman to begin SEC play against Oklahoma tomorrow. The 15th ranked Gators are coming off of 4 straight wins and sit at 9-2 on the season. The Sooners are unranked but are 6-2 so far. The Gators will look to start off SEC play strong as they take on ranked Kentucky and Texas next. Florida will lean on the Martin duo as Isabel and Kennedy Martin continue to shine. And the Gators are back to full strength thanks to the return of sophomore setter Alexis Stuckey from an injury. With Alachua County Public Schools closed on Thursday and Friday, local high school football games have been rescheduled or canceled. Columbia's matchup against St. Augustine was moved to 7 p.m. tonight, while Bradford is playing Keystone Heights right now. Some games, like Chiefland and Trenton's matchup, were outright canceled. Most schools in the North Florida area are likely to follow suit and postpone or cancel their games. In other high school sports, Oak Hall Volleyball took care of business last night, beating Countryside Christian in 3 sets. The Eagles have been nothing short of dominant this year. Yesterday's win marked their 4th in a row, bringing their record to 12-2 on the season. And when they win big. 11 of their 12 wins have been sweeps. Last night, they only allowed 25 total points to the Minutemen. Senior Cassidy McDonald was all over the court, leading the team with 7 kills, 29 assists. Oak Hall will look to return to the state tournament for the 4th straight year and win their first state championship since 1999. One final note, the Tampa Bay Rays travel to Detroit to face the Tigers tonight, looking to spoil their wild card hopes.
Yeah, it's a good thing the Rays are on the road with that hurricane coming in hard, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And now that Helene's hitting as a Category 4, tell us what we should be expecting the rest of this week.
Yeah, so with the latest advisory being that Helene is expected to make landfall as a Category 4. Everything to the west of 75 is expected to get 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts as a hurricane warning, and everything to the east is less than 75, but still tropical storm force winds. Thursday is when we're mainly expected to get a lot of that rain and that weather. Could be a very good day to stay inside and just to hunker down. Still have time to prepare, though. Tomorrow morning is when we're starting to see those impacts from the wind. That's when it's too late. The rest of the week, see some residual showers from the moisture. That's about it for us.
Thank you for that update, Matthew. And everyone at home, please stay safe. We'll be back here tomorrow for Hurricane Helene updates all day.
But your North Central Florida news is always on at WFT.org and all of our social media platforms. Have a good night and stay safe out there.